Take a deep breath, because what you're about to hear shouldn't be possible. The very thing keeping you alive right now could also be the reason you die faster. Oxygen. We trust it. We depend on it. But what if doubling it didn't make life better, just more dangerous? Because here's the hidden truth. Oxygen isn't just life-giving, it's violently reactive. And if Earth had twice as much of it, everything you know would begin to change in ways no one expects. Right now, every breath you take is part of a delicate balance. Roughly 20% oxygen, 78% nitrogen. It looks stable, feels normal, but it's actually a razor's edge. Shift it slightly, and the entire system begins to break. So what happens if we double it? At first, it sounds incredible. More oxygen means more energy, more alertness, more life, right? But here's the strange part. More of something essential doesn't always make it better. Sometimes, it turns it toxic. And that's where things start to spiral. Your body, every cell, every thought, every movement, is powered mostly by oxygen. Around 90% of your energy depends on it. Without it, you wouldn't last minutes. But flood your system with too much, and suddenly, your body begins to fight itself. So the question isn't just what would happen. It's, how long could we survive before the benefits turn into something far more dangerous? Because what comes next doesn't just change humans. It changes the entire planet. And that's when things get weird. The first sign wouldn't be in the sky. It would be crawling on the ground. And it would be massive. But here's the strange part. This has already happened before. Around 300 million years ago, Earth's oxygen levels were significantly higher. Not double, but higher than today. And during that time, insects didn't just grow, they exploded in size. Dragonflies with wingspans like birds. Spiders as big as your hand, or bigger. Creatures that today seem impossible were once completely normal. Why? Because insects don't breathe like us. They don't have lungs. Instead, they use tiny tubes called tracheae that deliver oxygen directly into their bodies. The more oxygen in the air, the easier it is for them to grow larger. Now imagine doubling that supply. Suddenly, the limits disappear. Cockroaches the size of cats. Beetles that can't just crawl, but dominate. And flying insects? Bigger, heavier, faster. But that's not even the craziest part. You might actually be able to outrun them. With more oxygen flooding your bloodstream, your muscles would work harder, longer, faster. Endurance would skyrocket. Records would shatter overnight. Humans would feel unstoppable, at least at first, because what feels like a superpower is quietly becoming a weakness. And this is where it gets dangerous. Because while insects grow stronger on the outside, humans begin to break from the inside. And that's when everything flips. At first, you'd feel incredible. Sharper focus, faster reactions, endless energy. It would feel like your body just unlocked a hidden upgrade. But what happens next changes everything. Because oxygen, in high amounts, doesn't just fuel your cells, it starts attacking them. Inside your body, excess oxygen creates unstable molecules called free radicals. They hunt for balance. They steal electrons. And in the process, they damage everything they touch. Your cells, your tissues, even your DNA. But here's the twist. This damage doesn't feel immediate. It builds silently. Day by day, your lungs begin to weaken. Vision starts to blur. Cells lose their ability to reproduce properly. And your body slowly loses control of itself. This is oxygen toxicity. And it's not rare in this world, it's everywhere. Even your immune system, which should protect you, starts behaving differently. Certain cells become more active. Infections drop. You get sick less often. Sounds good, right? But here's the contradiction. The same oxygen helping you fight disease is also accelerating internal damage. You're stronger, but more fragile. Healthier, but closer to collapse. And just when you think you understand the trade-off, the environment joins the chaos. Because oxygen doesn't just change life. It changes how everything burns. And that's when the world itself becomes unstable. Fire becomes the new normal. Not because people changed, but because the air did. Here's the terrifying reality. Fire needs oxygen. And when there's more of it, ignition becomes easier, faster, and far more destructive. A spark that would normally die out now spreads instantly. Dry forests? Gone in minutes. But here's the strange part. Even wet plants could catch fire. Moisture, which usually protects vegetation, becomes less effective. Flames burn hotter, longer, harder to control. Wildfires wouldn't be rare disasters anymore. They'd be constant. Entire regions could ignite from a single lightning strike. Cities would have to adapt or disappear. Fireproof materials wouldn't be optional. They'd be survival. But that's not even the full picture. Because oxygen doesn't just stay in the air. It binds. It reacts. It transforms. Over time, increased oxygen would change the chemistry of the planet itself. Metals rust faster. Surfaces degrade. Even large bodies of water could begin shifting chemically, potentially forming compounds like hydrogen peroxide. Think about that for a second. The very oceans slowly becoming more reactive. And this is where it gets truly unsettling. Because it's no longer just about surviving the environment. It's about surviving a planet that's actively changing beneath your feet. And just when it seems like things couldn't get worse, there's one final shift that changes everything again. Because the biggest change isn't what grows, burns, or breaks. It's balance itself. Earth isn't designed for extremes. It thrives on equilibrium. And doubling oxygen disrupts that balance in ways that ripple through everything. The atmosphere becomes heavier. The crust holds more oxygen. Chemical reactions speed up across the planet. Everything becomes more intense, more reactive, more unstable. But here's the question no one asks. Would life adapt or collapse? Because evolution doesn't stop. Over time, species might adjust. New forms of life could emerge. Systems could stabilize again. But how long would that take? Years? Thousands? Or would the damage happen faster than life can respond? And this is where it gets weird again. Because despite all the chaos, the idea still feels tempting. More energy, greater endurance, fewer infections. It almost sounds worth it. But at what cost? A world of giant insects. A body slowly damaging itself. A planet that burns easier and changes faster. So here's the real question. If you could breathe twice the oxygen right now, knowing everything it would do, would you still take that breath? Or is the balance we have the only reason we're still here?